Dementia Care Specialist Pam Kul-berg is our guest on today's morning show. So we talk about some upcoming deadlines, some upcoming opportunities. And the first thing we want to talk about is boot camp. Pam, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny word to talk about for caregivers of people with dementia. The idea is here's a chance to, instead of taking lots of little webinars, you can come one day from like 9:30 to 3 and get a whole bunch of educational events all at once. So the idea of boot camp is just like, let's take it all in one day and really dig in deeper. So the idea is if people come on that Friday, the 14th, at the community center, we're going to start with learning about the ADRC, but also going through a simulation that's what we think what it might be like to have dementia. And the point behind that is to really get a sense of what somebody might be going through and how you can help them when this is what they might be experiencing. And so it's a chance to process that. You know, we're never gonna put you in a hard situation, but it's a chance to talk about what's really going on with this person. Why can't they follow directions? Or maybe what are the different stages? What are the different kinds of dementia? People can bring their questions. It's only going to be like a dozen people or less. And so it's a chance to talk about what's your story? What questions have you had? You know, and how as a caregiver do you take care of yourself? And that is the key. So November is National Caregiver Appreciation Month, and realizing that there are a lot of us out there that are taking care of other people who have medical conditions, and dementia is just another medical condition. And, you know, it's a kind of a different job that you didn't know you signed up for, and is a lot trickier than sometimes people expected, just getting older or whatever. And now we have people with dementia who are younger and younger getting this disease. And so what do you do? How do you help this person? And key, how do you help make your job easier? So this is really about, if you know about certain approaches or certain information, your job might be easier. It might not be feeling like you're hitting your head against the wall so much or wearing yourself down. And then when we say self-care, right, everybody thinks, you know, bath bubbles and chocolate or whatever, but it's really more than that. It's like, how do you make sure that you're keeping your tank full so you can take care of somebody else, or whatever analogy you want to use. You're putting on your airplane oxygen before you do somebody else. But the key is, as a caregiver, you have to realize that it's not something you just push through, or you're going to hit something called caregiver burnout, which is a real medical condition, and we want people to avoid that. So here we are, Friday, November 14th. We do have a deadline of November 7th, so people can let us know, and because we're going to have a free lunch, and we want to know how much food to get. And then it's there at the community center from 9:30 till 3 in the afternoon, and it's a chance to bring your questions and to get a lot of education.
Right. When we say dementia, that incorporates a lot of different things, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. People used to think, oh, it's Alzheimer's, but it's kind of like cancer in a way. There's so many kinds of cancer depending on what type of the body is affected. With dementia, it's what part of the brain. So some people have Parkinson's dementia, because that's one part. Some people have Alzheimer's. That's kind of the language part of the brain, the cortex. Then there's Lewy body, which is a different kind of disease. There's frontal temporal, because that's a different disease. It hits a different part of the brain. So it's different diseases hitting different parts of the brain. The most common is Alzheimer's, so that's what people's heard of. Or people might have heard of vascular, because it has to do with cardiac issues. In fact, they're saying over at the research center at UW-Madison that most people have more than one kind, you know, that it's multiple. And so it's a very individual thing. You know, your brain, you're born with a brain, you try to develop it, things happen to it, and then you get this disease. And so everything is individualized. And so how is this particular disease hitting you as an individual that's affecting how you can function and also how you can interact? But so that's what the caregiver wants to know. What stage is this person at? What disease am I dealing with? I mean, people can always meet with me one-to-one, and we can talk, and I sit around a lot of kitchen tables and talk about it. But this is a chance to be with other caregivers. How do other people handle it if they don't want to take a shower? How do other people handle it if somebody wants to keep driving when maybe it's not a safe idea? How do other people know when maybe they might have to live in a long-term care facility? Like, and what are all the options? There's a lot of options, even in our small town. So, and there are support groups, and I'm hoping to start a choir, and we're going to have a men's shed, and there's a Spark Arts program. There's a lot of research sources, more than people realize, and a lot of books and a lot of opportunities. So I want to find the one that particularly fits for that family. So here's a chance to kind of meet for a couple hours and talk about it. But the key thing here is with other caregivers, right? Because everybody's story is unique, but you can learn something from them.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you feel you're alone. And I think, many people are juggling a job.
Yes.
And trying
raising
to
kids still.
Raising kids. And
right. We call those sandwich caregivers, But yeah, it's like, how the heck did I get this? And it's trickier. I thought this person just didn't have good memory. Well, dementia is really more than memory, right? It's how you're able to stay on task. It's how you're able to process information. You can hear words, but they don't land well. It can be how you get through the day. People do odd things because their brain is playing tricks on them, and they don't mean to, but they have this disease that kind of makes their mind play tricks on them, or they might get depressed, or they might have other things happening. And it's like, well, what do you do with that? This person is not functioning the way you thought. They're not, getting older the way you thought. And so how do you not feel like you want to go crazy? So caregivers really want some tips and tricks. This is the place to go. The
deadline's coming up on Friday, the 7th, coming up this week. Switching gears a little bit, you have another thing coming up here in December you'd like to talk about, Pam.
Yeah. Well, I think there's this it's phenomenal that we live in Wisconsin, because as a dementia care specialist, that program only exists in Wisconsin through the Aging and Disability Resource Centers. But one thing that they do at this research center with Nate Chin and other famous doctors is that they do these presentations, healthy living with mild cognitive impairment. And what that means is dementia medically is called major cognitive impairment, but people can have a form that's like more memory issues than normal aging, but it's not a form of dementia, or it can turn into it, but maybe not. So this MCI is something you're going to hear more and more about, which is mild cognitive impairment. And so how do you kind of go about your life? And so what they're going to be talking about that day, it's Friday, December 12th from 9:30 to 11:30, there's this webinar, and it happens quarterly. We're going to do it in March and June and in September and December next year. But this December, Friday the 12th, it's partnering with your healthcare team. And so they're going to talk about it. But I also love this webinar because they interact. You can ask questions. You can listen to other people. And so people can either register for it by going on the website and watching it from their own home, through Zoom, or they can come meet with me. I happen to be at Crossing Rivers that day in Prairie du Chien, and they can sit and watch it together, and we can talk about it. But this is a series, an educational series, that we'll be doing all next year as well as this year on December 12th. And so I want people to know it's out there. And what I like is this healthy living with mild cognitive impairment. It kind of gives ideas that are good for any of us, brain health ideas, how to use your brain better. But as the person who coordinated this said, how often do you get access to sort of internationally known doctors who are doing the research on the front end and be able to hear from them directly? And that's the thing, is because it's all coming through the Wisconsin Alzheimer's Disease Research Center that's at UW-Madison, and that research center is known around the world as one of being the top places for the cutting edge with it. So here's your chance to hear directly from those researchers. And so, it's going to be talking about insightful program featuring a geriatrician, a speech-language pathologist, and an occupational therapist as they share how healthcare professionals work together to provide comprehensive care for people living with MCI and their support network. So I think it's really interesting. For that, people can call me at my number at 608-548-3954. And that can be for the boot camp. They can use that phone number, or this series. But I just want people to know it's out there on December 12th, but it's also going to be all next year, too. There's going to be different topics.
And it's good to know, because somebody here is Crossing Rivers Health. They're thinking, well, I'm not going to Prairie du Chien, but you can do it remotely and in the comfort of your own home then.
Right. In your in your sweats and from your house. So yeah.
And a third event, and we've talked about some of these earlier, but another chance. Maybe things have changed in your life and you've kind of made some decisions, but another power of attorney healthcare event.
Right. And it's a chance we're going to keep doing those quarterly as well. Same months as the other thing I said, is that the ADRC with a coalition, we have a health coalition with all kinds of organizations around Richland County, and they got together this coalition to offer this because a lot of people are like, I should probably do my power of attorney for healthcare. But the hardest thing is you can pick two people and write down their name and address, but you need two witnesses that aren't your family or your doctor. Well, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time finding somebody and getting them to witness this document. So if you come December 3rd between 4 and 6 and you make an appointment first, you can have two witnesses there. And all you have to do is bring the name and phone number of the people you want for your power of attorney for healthcare. We're not doing finance. We're just doing healthcare. Then you can have two people witness and explain it. It's an amazingly simple form, and it's amazing how many people don't do it. And I will tell you, Wisconsin is not a first of kin state. So if something happened to my son, I wouldn't necessarily be able to hear his healthcare information unless he filled it out. So anybody over 18 needs to have a power of attorney for healthcare because it isn't automatically given to your family because we're not a next of kin state for notification. So I think it's really important that everybody over 18 have their power of attorney for healthcare. You don't have to wait till you're old. And it's an amazingly simple form. I think people get the packets and they think, someday I'll fill out all this paperwork. It's literally like 2 or 3 pages. It's really easy. But you want witnesses, and that's where you have to call the ADRC at that 608-647-4666 number to make an appointment because you have to sign up individually for that. So we'll do it in December, and then next year it'll be that March, June, September, and December quarterly times 2. But if they want that appointment, get them soon. They fill up quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Because that's for all ages. It's not just for those of a certain age. It's 18 and over. 18 and over, because you want to hear about your family, but you don't sort of get that privilege unless you filled out that paperwork. Great. Always good to see you, Pam.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you about 2 more things we can talk about next year?
Sure.
One is that we have a men's shed coming up in Lloyd Community Center next year, starting next spring. And so maybe you and I can talk sometime about this men's shed. It's a chance for men to get together and, do things together to sort of combat loneliness and just have fun together. So that's coming up next year. And the other thing that I'm putting out the word is to see if people are interested in what's called a Giving Voices choir. And the idea is that music helps us all. It helps people with dementia, people not with dementia. It's great for your brain. And so I want to start a choir here. I know that Richland Center in Richland County is a very music-oriented place to live. And so the idea that we could start a choir, I'm going to get a grant of money. I'm going to be able to, I'm looking for a director and some volunteers. And then we'll have this choir that will include both people with and without dementia. We get to sing together. We get to maybe have a performance at the end of the semester. But if there's anybody interested in looking at a dementia-friendly choir here in Richland County, please give me a call. And that's 608-548-3954, and let me know you're interested in helping with this music program, because I think it could really, be a great place to have a choir here in Richland County.
That would be a lot of fun. Put on a concert for folks. And,
and have fun singing together and enjoy doing it. And there's a whole system for how to start one, and we can get a grant because we're in the rural area. But I know people in Richland County love music, so why not to get together and sing together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
except I won't do that, unless I'm in a choir.
Yeah, right, exactly. Kind of hide behind other people.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Mouth the words, and everybody else gets to sound good.
And you'll have the words in case we forget them.
Right. Oh, there's a whole system that the Giving Voices. People can look at them on the internet, Giving Voices choirs, and they have a whole way of setting it up so it's really dementia friendly and fun. And so I think it would just be so great to have that here.
Yeah, keep us posted. That's
okay.
Going to be a great thing for our community.
All right, I'll talk to you next year.
Yeah, because we have she sheds. It's nice to have a man shed, or men's shed,
Yeah, and I know men aren't into groups. I'm told by my husband all the time, men don't like groups. But here's a chance just to get together and, get the ladies out of the way. And Lloyd has this wonderful, Lloyd has this wonderful community center, and people are really interested in offering programs there. So, it's a new place place to try out. So
I went to first grade there, by the way.
I did not know that.
I did, yes. Yep.
You might have to join us at the Men's Shed.
I may have to revisit my past.
Yes. That could be dangerous.
Always good to see you, Pam.
Okay, good to see you, Phil. Thanks.
Dementia Care Specialist Pam Kul-berg on our morning show.